Behaviour at the Parliament protest hit a new low today, with police saying protesters threw human waste over some offices.
It happened while police were installing huge concrete blocks around the perimeter, locking in cars that blocked roads.
Well, the Prime Minister still refusing to speak to protesters. This afternoon she did talk about ending the vaccine mandates. Political editor Jenna Lynch has more.
Before the break of day, the obstruction operation began. 3:30 a.m, 300 police rolled in. They pushed back the mob and piece by piece replaced their human barrier with a concrete one, fencing off the spreading Parliament siege. It was met with utterly disgusting behaviour. 8 were arrested during the standoff, 7 police officers were physically injured, and some officers had human faeces thrown at them by vitriolic protesters, making it even less likely they'll get an audience with the PM.
No one should have to face having human waste thrown at them while they're just trying to keep people safe. The suggestion that we would then engage with that kind of behaviour, I just reject.
It's becoming the protest that never ends. The so-called village has now extended well beyond Parliament's grounds. Protesters have taken over the bus station, nearby law school, and stretched their vehicle blockades down surrounding streets. Vic Uni's Behaviour campus shut until April.
It's very disruptive given all the other things that are going on, so we've had to move our first-year lectures up to this campus, which is the Kelburn campus.
With seemingly limitless supplies of food and amenities, human waste has become more than just a problem for police.
They are emptying the portaloos.
Swim warnings were put in place by council as they investigate raw sewage being emptied into the stormwater system around the Parliament area. The only people we found swimming on a sunny Wellington day connected to the protest. New recruits are forever arriving, even by sea today, and increasingly political parties sailing closer to the protesters' end the mandates line.
The public health rationale for mandates is much less than it was just a few short months ago. And it doesn't make you an anti-vaxxer to point this out.
Are you capitulating to the demands of the protesters?
No, absolutely not.
I find their position at the moment quite upsetting to see now they seem to be responding and sympathising with the protesters.
Though the PM herself signalling when we'll see the end of mandates and vaccine passes once we're through the Omicron wave.
The reason we will be able to move away from vaccine passes and many mandates is because more people will have had COVID.
Pointedly denying she was pressured into it by the mob outside.
But when that happens, it will be because easing restrictions won't compromise the lives of thousands of people, not because you demanded it.
Protesters' demands growing louder and politicians' replies growing stronger.
Well, kia ora, Jenna. Finally some police action. Why wasn't this done sooner?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be asking that, those on the 9th floor included. The Prime Minister expressed confidence in the Police Commissioner today, though not all of the police tactics undertaken, or it could be said lack thereof. This protest is growing rather than shrinking, and while politicians last week presented a united front against these guys on the front lawn, that cracked very quickly. The opposition's position should be seen for what it is, opportunistic, but politicians are now having a public debate about the end of mandates. And while there is a broader public will to see a conversation about the future of COVID and what the end of restrictions might look like, these guys out on the front lawn, unfortunately, will now be chalking this up as a win. Not great timing on the day that they hurled human faeces at the cops.
Political editor Jenna Lynch, Tēnā koe.